Hi people, mooi nou even back here again as always, Andrew, as usual. Yeah, as you can tell from the header, in this video I'm briefly going to discuss the importance of versatility or being versatile, not just regarding the occult, but as well as overall in life. Now, before I continue, metaphorical apologies in relation to the fact that it's a static image, it's an audio video specifically, if that makes any sense. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. It's just not necessary. It's impractical to record myself the way I do traditionally and or conventionally. Anyways, yeah. Now, the header speaks for itself. Needless to say, it's so important to be versatile. P.S. Obviously, I've never covered this topic specifically in a separate manner, so hence me doing it now. Yeah, the importance of versatility. Words can describe obviously how versatile you need to be, specifically within the context of forging a good career for yourself, regardless of what line of, what field of life or area of life you want to forge your quote unquote career in or into. A simple example is, for example, work. You can be naturally good at your job, but let's just say that you're gifted. Okay, you have a natural knack for selling things to people. You're a salesman or a saleswoman. You work in retail. Now, you might be naturally good at selling stuff to people, but without having any other faculties, specifically the faculties needed to make a successful impact, or to just make a success, to plain and simply be successful, then you're going to run into trouble. You're going to run into trouble in the sense that you're not going to be able to grow past your boundaries and or limits. Again, you're naturally good at selling things. You sell stuff to people, you name it. You're a door-to-door salesman or saleswoman, and generally speaking, you notice that, hey, it's like people are, like there's some spell cast over people. People can actually, they're more tempted compared to your colleagues and or competitors to buy your stuff, regardless of what that may be, regardless of what product or service or where you're trying to sell to people, they are more inclined to buy it. Yeah, be that as it may, yes, good for you. You're naturally good at something, great skill. And of course, you're compared to anything else you would be doing that you would be neutrally good at or just plain neutral at, let alone be bad at it, for a living or otherwise. Obviously, it's a gigantic step in the right direction, or a few steps even. Yet, if you want to hope to grow past your boundaries, then you need to cultivate all the other remaining skills necessary to truly become a success, or to become a true success. In the aforementioned example, things that come to mind, for example, are the administrative requirements and or conditions and circumstances that come along with being a successful retail salesman and or saleswoman. So you need to be able to speak properly and or optimally, so your linguistic abilities or linguistic skills need to be grade A material or of grade A quality, to say the least. You need to be able to diversify in terms of working days and whatnot. You need to be willing to get up early and do a bunch of other things that are otherwise inconvenient to the average person. And that requires discipline. See, that's what I mean. My point exactly. Especially in sports, for example, you'll notice this. For example, I'm not a big football fan or soccer fan. Call it football. I like keeping track of the football or soccer world, generally speaking. This is another example. And I've seen more than a few athletes that had genuinely raw talent. They had natural potential, they had natural skill, but they faded into obscurity. They went as quickly as they came, literally and figuratively. And why is that? Due to the aforementioned, what this video is about. They lack the necessary skills needed to cultivate true success for themselves. Because a lot of people think that all you need to do is to be good at at the subject matter in question or the topic in question, and then that's all there is to it. Then automatically you'll get all the fame and fortune or all the benefits. You'll reap all the benefits from being naturally good at what you do. No. You need to possess several other abilities to be able to succeed. Simple examples that apply across the board, okay, that apply at a life or existential level even, dare I say, are things such as discipline, well-manneredness, being punctual, being knowledge savvy, as in overall having a broad spectrum of knowledge across the board in terms of regardless of what field of life or area of life we're talking about. And it just goes on. You need to be at least on a scale of 0 to 10, you need to be at least a 5. You need to be at least moderately good at stuff like this, in addition to your natural skill, in order for you to turn a few heads, both metaphorically as well as literally, to have essentially people pay attention to you to the point where you can seriously make some good leeway. Again, referring back to the prior example, I knew, for example, I remember a football player. He was naturally skilled, and he played his football, his soccer, in Italy, and he also played for the Italian national team. That's how far he got. But he literally came as quickly as he went. After a couple of years, he faded into obscurity. And to everyone, supporters, to the managers, the club staff, everyone to the entire world, more or less, to put it that way, it was visible what his problem was. The guy was plain and simply and bluntly put a pile of crap. He was a loose cannon. He did not have any of the aforementioned qualities that were necessary, that aren't directly related to the sport itself. He was undisciplined. He disobeyed managerial instructions almost all the time. He essentially had a mentality along the lines of, I do whatever I want, without without adhering to anyone, to put it that way. He was selfish in the sense that he didn't care about his teammates, despite the fact that the very sport that he's involved in, that he does for a living, that he makes his living off of, or makes a living off of, involves playing as a unit, so compromising and working together with teammates. But he didn't do any of these things, and that's why he is where he is. He faded into obscurity. Last time I checked, metaphorically speaking, and in a manner of speaking, he still plays football and or soccer, but he plays literally in a completely unknown competition, far away from the limelight. It's a far cry from the spotlight that was on him once. But see what I mean? That's an example. Being just naturally good at something is not good enough in general. You need to, at a base level, have all the aforementioned qualities and then some that I mentioned earlier. Again, last example that I'm going to give before I close off this video is myself. Imagine you guys seriously look at for example, look at the very first videos I uploaded. You go on my YouTube channel, you click on oldest, and then you watch 2 or 3 of my videos. The very first video, Clowneck, Samael, my beloved primordial Lord Samael. It just goes on. Okay, you can even watch, of course, my Lord of Lords video, Sandalphon. Even then, you'll start to see the difference. And then do the same thing, but instead of those videos, watch my last 5 videos, including this one. And what will you notice? Specifically regarding my language usage, specifically regarding my speech pattern and overall linguistic ability. Exactly, you can't compare it. Back in the day, I spoke in a neutral tone of voice. On a scale of 0 to 10, my linguistic fluency was a 5, a 4 at the absolute minimum. And now, I'm way past the 10, even if I say so myself. I'm way past any conceivable number, again, even if I say so myself. But my point is that this is not one of my natural abilities. This is cultivated. This isn't something that I just was naturally good at. No. I literally, I built up more experience and more skill as I went along, and I just did so by putting in all the effort every single time. And it just goes on. Just because I, for example, am the strongest magician in the world doesn't mean that I didn't have to go through the basic levels of occult or esoteric training that every magician more or less in this world has to go through, as in really the nitty-gritty stuff like 101, Magic 101, developing astral senses, visualizations, the typical old school classic Golden Dawn rituals such as the LBRP and the BRH. I went through all of that stuff. I did all of it, memorized all of it by memory, all of it. I went through all of it. It's then that my natural skills kicked in. Just because I'm such a skilled astrologer, I'm the best astrologer in the world, I think, even if I say so myself, alongside occultism, obviously. But I also had to go through the basics of learning this and that, etc., learning what a chart looks like, what the basic properties are and the attributes of planets and zodiac signs. I went through all of it. Okay, I went through all the basics. I did my time in the trenches, so to speak. I did it all. And that's my point. That's what I'm getting at. I did all of it, and that's when my natural skill kicked in. I noticed that, hey, while doing all of this, once I had finished with the basics, or at the very least when I was in the middle of the basics, of learning the basics, I noticed that compared to the average person, I could pick things up a lot quicker. I was a lot more skilled, etc. And I just polished it and refined it and pushed it to the max non-stop, the same way I do up to present day. And that's why I am who I am. That's why I'm so legendary, again, even if I say so myself. But again, what you need to remember and understand, and this doesn't just apply to the occult or esotericism, it applies across life as a whole. Being naturally good at something is not enough if you want to make serious headway. If you're naturally good at something, whether it be your profession, so what you do for a living, or otherwise, any field of interest you have in life, okay? Any art form, anything, music, painting, you name it. You can be naturally good at it, but similar to the soccer and or football player that I mentioned earlier, if that's all, then you're not going to get a lot further. Okay, you're going to be exactly where your natural skills are allowing you to be. But if you want to stand aside or apart, if you want to set yourself apart, or you really want to go beyond, you want to go further, then you need to have basic virtuous faculties such as being disciplined, being punctual, all the stuff I mentioned, having a general broad knowledge of how the world works, etc. Having at least decent linguistic skills, being eager, essentially being punctual. All of that stuff goes a long way. There are people, for example, that have all of these without natural talent, and they still will get further than you. You that has natural talent. I'm simply bringing this up because, again, this is stuff that you'll easily see in the real world. Most people that are listening to this, I think you guys have mentioned this, guys and gals. You guys have mentioned this, you guys have noticed this, haven't you, throughout your life? Provided that you're adults, but even if you're not, at least like 18 or 15 years old, provided that you have a decent amount of life experience, then you will have seen all of this. Everything I said is nothing new to you, but it's simply something that not a lot of people spend a second or let alone a third or fourth thought on. But again, if you're truly serious, my message is clear. If you're really truly serious about getting stuff done, and you really want to grow past your current boundaries or current limits, provided that you have any, and that is specifically brought about by your natural skills, by having a knack for something or an affinity for something or being savvy, then you need to do the aforementioned, okay, and you need to stick to it. It's not a one-time thing like, hey, winning the lottery, etc. No, these faculties, you need to make these faculties part of yourself. No one forces me. In addition to me being who I am, okay, in addition to me being who I am, my natural skill, like I said, I embody all of these things. People have told me that, and I know that. Someone messages me, I respond instantly. The only way that I will not respond is if I haven't seen the message due to network connectivity issues or something else, or I have my hands full to such an extent that I can't immediately answer you, or worst case scenario, that I'm in an area without any internet connection or network connection. Other than that, You message me, whether it doesn't matter what it is, email, WhatsApp, Telegram, I will respond right away. You better believe I'll respond right away. You comment on one of my videos, I will respond the second I see your message. Unless it doesn't deserve a response or warrant a response, in my opinion, of course. Then yeah. No one forces me to do this, including myself. I don't have to force myself to do any of these things. I don't need to force myself to be punctual, to be linguistically skilled. I don't force myself to be able to work at my best, even with distractions, even when there's like a party going on around me and I need to do something spiritual or magical. No, all of this stuff, it comes to me in a metaphorically natural manner because I made it my own. I literally trained myself and I drilled myself for, honestly, ever since I can remember, so to speak, okay, for years, to the point where it's like a natural part of me, no different than my natural skill. The only difference is it's acquired, including my natural level of willpower. It's acquired through magic. It's acquired through, for example, my beloved primordial Lord Samael. All of that. I didn't have a natural. The old natural me didn't have like a natural level of willpower about him. No, my dominant zodiac signs were Libra and Scorpio. Scorpio sees the determination and willpower, but in a different way. In my specific case, in the sense of accomplishing objectives and or goals. That's why I'm so driven. But Libra, generally speaking, as an air sign, the sun being in Libra when I was born, the sun doesn't function well in air signs. So Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. The sun adversely is strong in fire signs. So my entire life while I was growing up as a normal person, so to speak, I wanted nothing but willpower. And I saw that because stuff happened, like people interrupting me, people didn't listen to what I had to say. Things where you could clearly tell that, hey, if I spoke up, it didn't have a kick to it, okay? It was like a weak sucker punch compared to someone that had natural willpower, and when the person said something, then immediately everybody paid attention. That's what I'm talking about. I cultivated that devastating, monstrous level of willpower for myself. It's not a natural ability. I didn't have this metaphorically shooting out of the womb. No. I cultivated this level of strength. I cultivated every successful thing, more or less, that you see. Okay, my natural skills are in relation to being refined, being well organized, being administrative, being punctual, depending on the situation. But I simply cultivated the whole depending part to the point where I'm always punctual, even if I say so myself. The only way I won't show up on time, for example, for an appointment is if I metaphorically get hit by a car or some other horrible disaster befalls me. And it just goes on. My financial skill, thanks to my beloved Lord of Lords, Lord Sandalphon, all of it is cultivated. So yeah, food for thought. Until next time, bye-bye.